Hey, what's up? How's everybody doing? It's been a long time since I posted. In this topic, I want to talk about when exactly you should be getting married as a male or female, perhaps, but we'll see where this goes. As a male, I'm a big proponent that, if you have enough money to take care of one other person, then you should go ahead and pursue that. But not only that, there is kind of a built-in system in like the cosmos that people don't really talk about, where if you have enough money to support someone, it will kind of be felt. And so by making enough money, you will automatically attract a partner. It just kind of like flows through like magic. So I guess the priority should not be how to find the right girl, unless you're super super rich, and then all the girls will want you for your money. That's a different struggle. So I'm not talking about that. Maybe I can make a separate video one day somewhere. But this is just about the person making, the average income. Maybe he wants to make, if he's making the average, let's say he wants to make enough for someone else. That is where your mind should be as a male, if you want to lead yourself into being ready for marriage. This is referring to the dynamics of male and female. If a person watching this has a different gender preference, my thoughts are not there, so you can probably apply this, but it may not be as easy. So yeah, that's the main thing. Just pursue an occupation, and then everything will kind of come together. But I find that in society at large, what's going on is people are waiting until they have a certain amount of money. Does that happen? Yeah. Also, here's the challenge. You never want to get into the loop of saying, okay, if I want to get married, I need to make enough money. So I need to afford a wedding. I need to have enough money for a car. You don't want to be thinking in terms of that. You want to be thinking in terms of averages, estimations. It's like if you're all of a sudden making 80 grand a year, oh, that's enough, But you don't need to think about, okay, how am I going to do the car? If you have higher standards of living and you want to live in a mansion, yeah, then you're going to have to budget much better, maybe wait a few more years to live that life you want. But in general, the time to get married you shouldn't even be needing to think about it. The relevance usually is because of societal pressures or your culture. So if you're in like a religious culture that has certain expectations, there'll be that dynamic. If you're in a plain old secular societal culture, it's not necessarily religious, that has a by 27 be married, then you'll have that pressure. But you should try to release those pressures and allow yourself to things to come together at the right time, because everything is kind of the cosmic flow and current. People are always worried. I need this to happen at this time. I need that to happen at that time. That's going to be really damaging for your subconscious, for your health, your mind, your well-being. If you're constantly thinking about, okay, I need this to happen, I need that to happen, and if it doesn't, I will be upset at myself, I'll be upset at God, I'll be upset at my community, I'll be upset at the world, I'll be upset at just everything. That's not a healthy place to live, and a lot of people are doing it subconsciously. They're not going to say it in these terms, but certainly this will be present to some extent. It's always present. You think I'm immune to this? Of course I'm not. So the question, when should you get married, is a trick question. It's not when you should get married. It's when might the question, should you get married, even be a thought? And the answer is that it really should never be a thought. It should just happen. And those who say it should be a thought, it's societal pressures. Now, I'm not downgrading marriage, and I'm not saying you shouldn't get married. I personally still want to get married. I'm surrounded by people who are married. I like the dynamic. Was raised on it. And not only that, relationships are important. Relationships sound great, and biologically it's important. Emotionally, it's obviously needed. And therefore, I'm not saying that marriage or long-term relationships should not be in the question, but things should kind of casually flow in, almost like it's built into nature. This should happen. And when will that natural occurrence happen? When you make enough money. So don't say, "Oh, I need to make enough money." If you're not making enough money right now, obviously it's not your time to, so that you can attract a mate, so you can have a long-term relationship or get married and so. And people in the pickup community, they want to say, it's people like you. I used to be a person like you. I used to be someone who never got chicks. And because I said okay at the right time, and I was really just shy and I didn't want to have. That's what they'll say to us, people with this approach. Things will happen when they happen. But really, that's they're forcing things. And what they end up doing, all these pickup artists, is they memorize tricks and cues and ways to get girls, and they're the most insincere people. And it's I think it was like 20% of people who join pickup are successful. Probably no, it's on Tinder. 20% of Tinder guys are good with getting girls, and like 99% of girls are like there for attention. 95, probably, I don't know the exact numbers, are there for attention. So it's a really weird dynamic. The point is that very small percentage of men are successful in this pickup style way of doing things. So if the chances are low to get success, and it'll take a lot of hard work, I don't recommend it, especially since you're just breeding into insincerity. And you'll need like your next kick of self-esteem by getting another girl. And you may have all these girls lined up so that you constantly have a feed of self-esteem. But why should you rely on that system? So the thing is, they're very low conscious. They don't realize that that's what they're relying on for feeling good about themselves. They're not looking inside. Whenever you pursue some kind of physical material outlet, be it movies, sex, like smoking up. Not like smoking up is terrible, but anything materially related, and you resort to that constantly, it's because you're trying to avoid something. And if it's like part of your life, I'm not going to say stop it, because it's not necessarily bad. Everyone has their lifestyle way of doing things, but recognize that a lot of these things are coping mechanisms to not kind of deal with your own sadness. So that's that. Those are the tips on how exactly, when exactly to get married.